Welcome to Theater Crafts, where we take theater memorabilia and make brand new treasures. All right, if you're watching this on the day that I'm releasing it, today would have been Shakespeare's birthday. So I thought it would be kind of cool to do a project that is Shakespeare inspired. Although honestly, you could do this with any book, any comic book, any sort of item. And I'm going to show you. So I had this book. It's a Shakespeare. It's all Shakespeare's plays. And I got it at a used bookstore. It was kind of damaged. It was writing inside it. So I thought I would use it for a craft item. So what I decided to do is I decided to create a box. So this box, I don't know if you can see right there, these are pages right out of the book. And you can see they're all the different plays that Shakespeare wrote right around the side there. And then you can open it up, and that's actually the front cover of the book. It's the Globe Theater, and then you've got, I have my Shakespeare stickers inside it, but I've got some of the lines from some of the plays inside there as well. So I'm using Shakespeare pages, but you could use, like I said, comic strips. You could use any, if you have a specific writer that you love or a script that you want to use, you could use anything like that to create that. And I'm not gonna lie, this is an old piece of costume jewelry that I used for the feet and for the knob here at the top, all trim. So I'm kind of pulling things out of my storage, or my craft room, and creating a really cool case inspired by Shakespeare. All right, let's get crafting. All right, here are some of the materials that I'm starting with. This is a box that I got at Dollar Tree. You can see it was $1.25. I had it in my wrapping paper and things like that. So I decided this would be a good box to use. And then this is the book. So you can see it's kind of beat up, but it just has like really cool kind of look to the pages. It feels old. So I thought this would be a really interesting book to use. Then I'm going to use some paint. You need some glue sticks, obviously paint brushes, and I've got some Mod Podge scissors. This is what we're going to get started with. So first we're going to take the box, and I decided to paint it. I've got this kind of like, tannish paint. And it's just acrylic paint, and it's just to give a base because I'm putting the pages over it. I wanted to give just a base. I'm not going to be really particular about making sure it's completely covered, but I wanted to make sure that if a little bit was peeking out, we wouldn't see the hot pink and the flowers. So I'm going to give a coat throughout the entire piece, inside and outside, and then we will move on to the next step. All right, so I'm going to take the pages and I'm just ripping them out of the book, and I'm going to cut the top. And the reason I want to cut the top, if you remember when I showed you the box, I wanted to see the name of the play. You could do this any different way, but I just thought it would be kind of cool to see the different names of the plays. So this is in essence like making paper beads, if you've ever done that. So I've got a skewer here, and I've got my glue. And I'm going to do a line of glue about an inch from the bottom of the page, and then completely covering the top inch or so. And I'm going to take the skewer and I'm going to wrap it around the paper around the skewer and then roll it. And so, like I said, this is kind of like making paper beads, if you've ever done that before. So, but these are just very long ones. And sometimes it can get tricky. Honestly, it can kind of move about. So you really just want to make sure you're getting it as straight as possible, but you can maneuver it. And, you can always go back and roll it if you need to. So basically I see the name, just pull it right off the skewer, and you're going to make a lot of them. And here they are, all the different ones that I made. And you can see they're all different plays. I intentionally chose some of the different plays. So here's the box. And what I've decided to do is I wanted the name of the plays to be seen. I thought that was really cool. So I'm just cutting them down, and I decided I wanted them at kind of random heights. And so I'm just going to cut those down and hot glue right onto the the box, you'll see here, and just gluing that page right down. Now, I discovered a much easier way later, and I'll show that to you in a little bit. But basically gluing them side by side. And I decided I wanted some of them facing one way, some facing the other way. And like I said, the heights of the names to be different. So literally just putting another bead of hot glue, making sure the next one abuts the first one, and then kind of making sure that I've kind of mixed up the names as well, and just going right down the front of the box. And it hardly took any time at all to do the front here, and you see what that looks like. And basically, all I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut those papers. Now, it's just a roll of paper, so it's not that bad. But I did find an easier way to do it, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But this is what it looks like all cut down. Isn't that cool? I love it. So now I decided, because there are lips on both sides, I decided to add some on the side there. And again, it opens and closes easily. And so now I'm going to show you the way that I found a little bit easier to add the papers to the side. So basically cutting it down, and then I decided to cut them down before actually gluing them down. I thought that was a little bit easier. This particular one, you see that the edges came up. It didn't stay glued down. Easy fix. Just glue that down with the hot glue. And so, again, I don't know if you noticed, there's a lip on the bottom of the box here and at the top. So it makes it a nice kind of resting point for the rolls of paper. So again, I'm just adding another one, cutting that as I go, and kind of mixing up the names of the plays. I thought it was really cool to be able to see the different plays from Shakespeare. But again, if you do this with comic strips, you could have the different characters facing out. You could have text from scripts or whatever. So this is what it looks like with the whole side done with the strips. I think this looks so cool in itself, but I decided I wanted to really kind of decorate it. So I'm done with the rolled beaded scripts. And now I'm going to take the Mod Podge, and I just happen to have dishwasher safe Mod Podge. You could use any Mod Podge that you like. I wanted to kind of make sure that I added a little bit of protection on these. So I added a layer. Actually, I added two. I added a layer here, and I added another one a little bit later, and let that dry completely before moving on to the next step. So the next step, I decided to add some of the text on the inside. So I cut out pieces from the actual pages that fit the inside. Now, it doesn't fit completely on the long sides, but it's okay because I'm going to put some trim and that will cover it. So basically looking to see what side I like best, put some Mod Podge down, put the page in, and adding Mod Podge again to just kind of seal it in. And I do that on all four sides, so the front and the back. As again, it doesn't fit completely, but it's okay. I'm going to add some trim into the corner. And then again, putting the pages there. And I just love that it's adding a little bit of the Shakespearean text to this. But how cool would it be with comic strips or with newspaper articles, or, you know, whatever you have that that you want to kind of commit to a memory box. Okay, so next I thought it'd be cool to add the front cover. This image of the Globe Theater is so beautiful, so I thought it'd be cool to add this to the inside of the cover of this memory box. So just cutting it out, and I want to preserve as much of the image as possible, but it's going to make sure that it fits on the inside there. So I'm cutting off, I want to get as many of the words off as possible. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm trying to just measure it to see where I can make that work. Then I'm going to, again, flipping that so that it fits. Then I'm going to flip the cover over, and I will kind of make sure that I've got kind of right there. Here I am flipping it over, and I'm going to outline it so that I can get the image exactly where I want it, and cut that out so it will fit. So literally just cut that out. And then we're going to, again, do the same procedure that we did earlier with the Mod Podge and we're going to affix that right to the center of the cover. And of course, I'm going to add another layer of Mod Podge on top, again, just to protect it. I'm not sure what I'm going to use this box for, so you want to make sure that you're protecting your images. Isn't that cool looking? So it's starting to come together, and I thought it would be kind of cool to make it look a little bit old, like it's worn. So I took some ink, and I'm just brushing on some places that it would look a little bit worn, so it feels like it's an old box, and just adding it to places that it feels like you'd have some use. And so not a lot, just adding just for a little bit of dimension. And I just love the look of this. I think it looks so cool. All right, now we're going to decorate the outside of the box. So I found some trim. I have a piece of felt here. I'm going to put that on the inside. And I had these pieces of scrap fabric. They were sample scraps of leather. And I thought it would be really cool to decorate the box with that. So first, I've got the trim, and I'm adding the trim to the around the image on the inside cover. Basically, I wanted to protect the edges, honestly. And so I'm just adding trim, kind of mitering the corners here and gluing that down. And next, I have this paste. It's used for scrapbooking or bookmaking, and it's very thick. It's almost like a Vaseline kind of feel to it, and it's not really the right brush, honestly, to use it. But I thought I would use this for putting the leather on the outside of the box. Now, certainly you could use like a white glue or something like that, but because I'm using leather, I wanted to have something that was a little bit stronger. And I happen to have this in my craft room, so I decided to use that. But you could use any kind of fabric on this that you might have, or a felt would certainly work. Like I said, I had these leather scraps, and they were, at a tag sale, and I had gotten a bunch of basically sample pieces. And this particular piece of leather fit perfectly on the area that I wanted covered. And so you see here, I'm just kind of rolling it, making sure that it's nice and adhered, and adding it to the three sides. So the cover, basically the spine area, and then the bottom. Now, you don't have to do this. I happen to have this piece of leather, and I thought it would be kind of make it feel a little old world, if that makes sense. And so again, just putting that down, and then I'm going to put some weight on it. I actually put the jar on top and let that sit for a little while. And then I thought, I have these book corners that you can use in bookmaking. And I thought these would be really cool to add to the corner of the box. It also helps to keep the pieces together. And so that's why I'm doing that. So I put some hot glue. You could put E6000 or something like that on there too. So basically I put some hot glue inside the book corner, and then making sure that all of the layers are inside there. And then I took a kind of a plier and just kind of crimped it just to make sure that it was really secure. And look at that. Isn't that cool? And now I'm going to add I added the trim inside. Sorry, I did not film that part, but I just added trim to the corners. It was a basic trim that I had. And now I'm going to add felt to the bottom, just to kind of make the inside a little bit more elevated, I guess. And in this particular case, I decided to use hot glue. I probably would, if I were to do it again, use white glue because hot glue gives you a little bit of the bumps there when it starts to cool down, whereas white glue is a little bit better, or Mod Podge or something like that. but basically just putting this piece inside. And again, doesn't that, it just really elevates the look of the inside. I love how this looks now. I just think, remember, it was this hot pink box with flowers on it, and it looks so different now. Okay, and so now I decided I needed to cover up the top of those tubes of the paper. So I had this trim. It's the same trim that I used on the inside on those corners. Honestly, if I were doing this again, I might use a thinner trim because it does affect the closing of the box. But I love the look of this trim so much, so that's why I chose to use it. So basically just putting it around the edges here. And again, it's really just to cover up the top of those tubes there. And again, it does give a little bit more of a finished look on the edge. So I do like that. I think that looks really awesome. So I happen to have this old costume jewelry, and I thought it would be really interesting to make feet for this box out of it. So I pulled apart the necklace, and I had another second necklace, and I'm going to use these as the feet. And then I'm going to use one as the knob for the box as well. So basically I'm going to take some E6000 and some hot glue, and I'm going to put E6000 on the foot, because that's going to give the long-term hold, and then the hot glue will give the immediate hold, so that it will grab right away, but then the E6000 will eventually make that permanent, a permanent adhesive. All right, so I'm going to do that with all 4 of them. And here they are, all 4 of them affixed. But look at this. Doesn't that really elevate the box? I just think that looks so cool. So now I decided to take one of them and use it kind of like, I don't know, a pull on the top here. So again, doing the same procedure, the E6000 and then the hot glue. And then I'm going to put that right in the center and the front of the top. And I'm going to really let that set well. And I'll show you what I'm going to do next. I had this trim, and I thought it would be really cool to make like a tassel for the front, just to kind of elevate it and make it feel old world. I don't know, it's kind of dorky, but I thought it was really fun. So I glued the pieces together to really make it a much more substantial tassel. And I'm going to glue that to the front at the end. I was kind of waiting for the knob to dry on the top. So now that we've got the knob all set, I found this is actually elastic. It's brown elastic, and I want to be able to close it. If I had planned to do this earlier, I would have actually glued this underneath the leather, but I didn't come up with this until right at this moment when I realized I needed to close the top. So I put some hot glue on the bottom, and then I want to make sure it's really secure. So I grabbed another little piece of that same leather, and I'm just gluing that just to give another surface space for the elastic to adhere. So just gluing this down and really making sure that's adhered well, so that when I'm closing it, it's not going to pop out. Right? It's underneath, so it's probably going to be okay. And then I'm going to put a little tassel right on the front here, which I think will be really fun. So see how that's going to close, and then the tassel will be right in the front there. So just hot glue, right? I'm going to put the tassel right in front, underneath where that knob is. And basically that's it. And here's our finished box. I love this. I love that we took something that I probably would not have used and made something really special out of it. So I hope you give it a try. And thank you so, so much for joining me. I hope this has given you some inspiration. And if it has, I hope you would do me the favor and please like this video. It really would help me out a lot. So thank you for joining me for this week's Theater Craft. I will see you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.